Hello, thank you for being here with me. My name is Ella, and tonight I wanted to talk about standards. What could I possibly say about standards? So, I'm going to talk about the impossible and actually um, just completely unreasonable standards that we have for other people. So, and I'm specifically talking about really standards that we have about um, potential mates or partners. So, and just to give you a little bit of context, um, when I was a girl, everybody in my life kind of put my dad up on this really, really high pedestal and kind of, you know, basically he was like this mythic creature that no other person could ever actually be like. And so naturally, I kind of adopted that attitude as well. And, I've come to realize over the last couple years that, not, every relationship that I've had has ultimately failed. And I think kind of the crux of that is that I have held I've held them up to a standard that actually doesn't exist, because it's not a standard that any actual human being could ever attain. So of course I'm going to have these standards that, they really just don't exist. And what's more is that I was lying to myself about what I would witness as far as from a behavior standpoint, and then how I would justify it in my own mind. So it's really interesting that all of this is kind of coming to light for me now, because my dad is great. He's a great guy. He's also a fallible human being, just like all the rest of us. He's a fallible human. So holding him to some kind of standard that actually cannot exist is unfair. It's unfair to him, it's unfair to me, it's unfair to any potential partner that I might have. So kind of what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of in the process of like throwing out any standards or descriptors or whatever that I may have previously had in place to describe what would make the ultimate optimal partner. Because obviously, since I am approaching 45 years old and every relationship I've had has been a colossal failure, obviously I need to make some adjustments if I ever hope to have a successful relationship partnership. So this is just one of those things. And what's really interesting about this is that it just ties in so interestingly with me exploring my femininity and exploring what it means to be feminine and what it means to get my feminine and masculine sides more balanced within myself. So I don't really have any answers right now. This is just something that I'm exploring. It's a whole bunch of concepts that I'm exploring, and right now it feels like kind of just a bunch of soup in my head, and I'm sort of stirring it and letting all the flavors sort of meld and marinate together, and hopefully soon I will have something more articulate to say on the matter. But for right now, I just want to say that I absolutely am throwing out all of the standards that I had in place because they aren't real. They aren't real. They are a lie. They are a lie to myself, and they are a lie to everyone else. So I'm curious what you might have to say about what's important in a partnership, especially if you have a successful partnership where you have been together for some time and you've been through some things together and it has made you stronger. I'm very curious as to what does work and what doesn't work for you. So if you are willing to share, I would be very, very receptive to learning. And I'm curious to also curious to know what standards you have had in place that are not real, that are based on a lie. And this has been sort of a very layered discovery for me. And I'm not going to get too much into what all those layers have been and how I've come about discovering them. But basically, I've had a lot of feelings of anger come up over this because I feel like, one of the many terrible things that my inner critic has said to myself over and over is, you should have had this figured out by now. Like, you should really know what you're doing by now. You should really be in a successful relationship by now. And, like XYZ other people, but it's absolutely useless to compare my life experience with literally anyone else's life experience because it just doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve the people that I'm comparing myself to. It doesn't serve anyone, and it's really counterproductive. So, anyway, all that said, I am very curious. What does work for you in a long-term relationship? What does work, and what doesn't work? And yeah, I guess that's about it. So that's just where all my thoughts have been sort of hanging around today is some really deep realizations about what it means to be a partner and what it means to be a provider and an equal, and just the discovery that some of the notions that I had, sort of stuck in my head somewhere are frankly a load of BS. They are literally lies. And so all of these weird standards that I had kind of in mind, and most of this is when I was younger, okay, not now, but were just based on lies of like how a partner is supposed to treat their partner. So, because, I found over and over again in different partnerships that I have had, or partnerings, I guess I would say, relationships, that I would accept behavior from a partner and I would justify why that behavior was okay in my mind. And ultimately, it points back to dysfunctional behavior that I was exposed to as a child that basically then became, well, that's what's normal, or that's what's expected, or that's what the standard is. And so basically, I allowed myself to accept being treated poorly by someone I was in a relationship with. And this includes friendships too, by the way. I'm not only speaking about romantic relationships, but, just basically allowing myself to be treated with less dignity and respect and love than what I deserve. And so I feel like there are multiple sides to this. There are facets to it, because not only do I have to claim what I'm worthy of and what I do deserve, but that also means that I have to know what's not okay definitively. I have to know exactly what my boundaries are and where those boundaries are. And I also have to be open to being treated in ways that I've literally never been treated before. Good ways, good things I'm talking about. Simply because in the past, I would excuse away, such poor behavior. So anyway, there are a lot of layers to this and a lot of things that I'm kind of noodling over, but I just thought I would kind of pop on and talk about this a little bit, about the fallacy of standards and where those standards originate from, and how do we adjust them as we grow older and hopefully wiser, as we learn, as we heal, as we grow. So very curious of your thoughts. If you would like to share, I would love to hear your thoughts. So hope you're having a wonderful Friday night. It is the last day of January. It's been the longest year ever. January always feels like such a long month. After the frenzy of, the holidays of November, Thanksgiving, and, Christmas and Hanukkah and everything, and New Year's and all that kind of stuff. So January always feels endless. And today is finally the last of January. So yay for that. So anyway, that's all. Happy Friday, happy weekend. Have a wonderful weekend. And thank you so much for being here with me.